Okay, what do we got? We got orange. We got a baby crying. What was I thinking about? I was thinking about satire. That's not helpful. I was thinking about satire. The time I was like, no, those are satires, and like there was a thing like indicated like some people do know. I mean, but that was funny, but that's what I was thinking about. That can't be important. Um, I mean, we've talked about it. Orange, baby crying. What else was I thinking about? The guy said they're seeing dollars and making money. That guy. Thinking about that. Oh, right. Because I was thinking about moral insanity. It's not discussed. It's not. You have to read it in like the essential papers in the beginning of about why I think about this. It's not a joke. Just think about why no one reads the essential papers, like because it illuminates like the way in which the very people who like are teaching and like are in academia and in all the institutions, like it actually illuminates what's wrong with them. So like you wouldn't write, it would be like you wouldn't want to talk about that. So it's just diagnosis, like diagnosing young people, diagnosing people with things like schizophrenia. But like the reality is like the early psychoanalysis movement made insights into those kind of people that occupy all the universities. The question was like, can there be moral insanity? Like, what do we say about the apparent existence of it, but can we accept it as real, or is it intentional? That is, like, there are people doing things. What they're saying is, how could someone be just morally insane? That is, that they're doing things that would indicate they're like sick or depraved or ill in what they're doing in terms of their relationship to things and human beings, but have no cognitive distortion. How could you be that sick but without any accompanying cognitive problem? Usually people who are that insane that they're harming people in like in ways that are like they obviously don't know what they're doing or something, or don't know the effect they're having on other people. Usually like they would also be delusional or confused or unable to do like a math formula. No, there apparently are people who are like there's no cognitive problem. They're doing things like research and teaching and planning things and teaching other people and doing all these activities that would indicate that the cognitive like apparatus is working just fine. But what they're doing would indicate they're unaware of. They don't live in reality. They're unaware of the effect they're having on other people. They're unaware of the role they're playing. That means that there is apparently something just called moral insanity. You're insane, but only with what you're doing with your the way in which you're relating to reality and human beings. But there's no cognitive problem. But and to also be blasé about what you're doing, like that when it's pointed out to you that like you're causing harm, like to just like not like to just sort of be like blasé about it. And it was the early psychoanalysis movement like looked into it and said like to call this insane would disintegrate the meaning of the word insanity. Like they're not insane, they're doing that, but I mean they're not. You can't call it insane. Means it's a problem. What is? And then we're in the age of biology and people know things now with the brain and nervous system, that it may be that there's some difference in the structure of their brain and the neurons attached to it, okay? And that it may be, in fact, some type of Jewish person, like where we find this like type of thing. I certainly found it. I was a target of it. But that's who's in the universities. When Alan Dershowitz wrote The Case for Israel, and I read it, and he's a person that with that much education is saying that the reason it's like okay to do whatever, like the reason it's okay to do certain things like to Arab people is because they chose the wrong side in 2 world wars. They picked the wrong side in 2 world wars. That's like not only that's like something a teenager would say about, I mean, it's like it's a comment that's both resentful, childish, not applicable to global situations and wars, to put it in a book that that's the case, like that the Arabs picked the wrong side in World War I and World War II, which they had nothing to do with, but they sided with the wrong people so they get what they deserve. I mean, how can he write how can someone with a status like that who knows whatever he writes will be a bestseller just because his name's on it and he's saying things like that, and he knows that the masses like don't know the difference between when how can an academic do that? But what? How can he? Well, he must be insane. He must be sick. But wait, how could you be just morally insane? How could you write a book like that, making arguments like that, that they're going to affect the minds of the masses into thinking it's okay to destroy Lebanon 3 times, and each time that while they're rebuilding it, it's destroyed again. The last time, I think they killed like over 70,000 civilians. That's not a joke, and it's because like one person, like one person operating with a small like group of like radicals, like fired something into Israel that like blew up, in a shopping mall, like an act that's not state sanctioned or anything like that, and because of that, they killed 70,000 civilians in Lebanon, And there's academics, the head, large position at Harvard. His explanation is, well, they picked the wrong side in 2 world wars. Okay, so that's about what we mean. Can there be moral insanity? He can write a book. So the cognitive skills are working fine, but you'd have to be morally like something. You'd have to be insane to make those arguments and to manipulate the masses in your population. Like a Jewish person who's not an academic might read that book and think that holds up. One thing you'll notice is no footnotes in the book. I mean, he just wrote it. Okay, that's called moral insanity.